So I just want to move on to one of my favourite players that we've got, one of Gerrard's first acquisitions, certainly the first player that he highlighted that he needed, and that was Connor Goldson. He made his 150th appearance last night for the club. And what's more remarkable for me, it's his 60th consecutive appearance last night. Now, Wolf, that is unbelievable. I mean, I can't remember a player, too many players in my time doing that. He's just Mr. Consistent, isn't he?
The guy's just a machine. I mean, he never seems to get injured. Anytime he does get a knock, he shrugs it off. He's an incredible football player. When you consider when we signed him, he played something like 16 games in 3 years because of his heart problems and all the other bits and pieces that he had. I think, as I've said before, that'll benefit him as his career goes on because he won't have the miles in the legs, so he'll probably last a bit longer at the back end of his career. But I mean, the fact that the man's played 150 games in what is basically a relatively short space of time for us. I mean, he's hardly missed a game since he came to the club. He's played every single second we played in Europe under Steven Gerrard. It's absolutely incredible for one man, particularly a centre half. Yeah. Because it also shows his discipline because he's not been suspended.
Yeah, I mean,
you've got to look at.
Sorry, Wolf. I'm trying to guess your internet's absolutely terrible. Do you know that? Like, I'm like, I know I said this in the podcast. I don't want to repeat myself, but see, try to guess when you're stopping. It's the hardest thing I've had to do in my life, and I've got 5 kids. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry, Wolf. So, Graham. He's just. I mean, we've spoke about him at length on podcasts previously. He's got the captain's armband on last night. He's just Gerrard can trust him. Is I suppose what I'm getting at. Do you see him get on to make another 150 appearances?
I don't see nothing stopping it, mate. What I like about him is you can see him, he's adding bits to his game every time as well. He's getting better on the ball, the diagonal, everything. He's just, so you can see he's working hard on the training pitch as well. And that's the kind of players you want at Rangers, and especially now that we're back where we are. He's been a big part of it, and consistency. And he's getting better every day.
Scott, consistently, we keep saying consistency. What do you see as his key attributes? What does he bring to the table?
I think he's a very good leader from the back. I think he's improved on massively from last season, and he's cut out all the stupid mistakes as well. Like the last game we lost, the Hamilton game, we gave away the goal. And then the last game we get beat by them at Ibrox, he gave away the goal. Really, I think he laid it to Edward to score. I can't remember, but I can't remember him making a mistake this season. And it's just that one consistency. He's just a machine, especially after what Will said about his heart problems. But he's not been injured in 60 odd games. It's unbelievable, really.
So, Wolf, I'm going to touch on that and take this question to Wolf on his mistakes. Now, I've been a massive Connor Goldson fan since he walked through the door. He's been our best centre half by the length of Socky Hall Street, right? People used to love Katic and they love how he played because he was raw and he was brave. For me, Goldson made mistakes because Katic and Worrell and the likes were so far out of position. Connor Goldson almost had to play the both centre half spots at times. Yeah. So now that Hollander has joined the team and Balogun is up the level as well, for me, Connor Goldson is thriving because it was always Connor Goldson and someone else, and that was always the case. But he would come under a bit of stick. Do you think that Hollander and Balogun have really helped him kick on this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he trusts them. It's not just, it's a settled back four as well. You know, it's the fact that his fullbacks more or less have been the same all the way through as well, and he trusts everybody that's round about him. He's got a great goalkeeper behind him. The whole squad seem to trust themselves and each other, and I think Goldson knows that if he steps up, because he likes a wee run forward, if he steps up, there's going to be somebody covering him. If he goes forward, for example, Stephen Davis is going back to cover him, you know, and or Hollander will make sure that he's there because he doesn't really like charging forward. And I think there's more trust in him, so he's concentrating more on his own game rather than, like you said, trying to think, well, what's Joe Worrell going to do, you know, or what's Big Katic going to do here? Am I going to have to bail them out of this? I mean, it used to be, but in his early days with the club, you were hoping his mistake would be early and he'd get away with it because he was making a mistake a game, or it was perceived he was making a mistake a game. But that, as you say, I think that's more to do with the quality that was round about him. But now we've got a settled back four. He's absolutely thriving on it.
Scott, do you think that the mistakes that... Sorry, Graham, I'll come to you with this one. Do you think that you know, we've mentioned that he only played 16 games in a number of seasons. Do you think the mistakes at the start were just a bit of rustiness, and now he's got these games under his belt, he's actually, you know, performing on a consistent basis?
It could be, mate. Aye, it definitely could be, because I can't remember who it was that said it. It was either Gerrard or Michael Beale, I think, says even like the cup games against Falkirk and that, he wasn't one dropped because he's got time to make up for all these heart problems and that. And that's what I like as well. So he just wants to play every single minute, every game. But his mistakes, he definitely could blame it on rustiness. And he's just getting into that consistency level now, where obviously they're going to be less and less, which helps us. I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think he's making up for lost time. I can see that in him. So, Scott, with that, do you think he's got one more move in him? I know we don't want him to leave Rangers, but I'd imagine Connor's got maybe he's not, but I'm talking for him here. Maybe he's got an ambition to right some wrongs in the Premier League. Do you think he's got another move in him?
Maybe, but he's been I saw he's been heavy like West Ham a couple of times, and now obviously doing very well down south. But I don't think he'd want to leave us this summer, because I think the boy's desperate to play in the Champions League. And obviously we're guaranteed Champions League football at this point. So I can see maybe staying for one more season and then maybe going back down south, as you said, to right some Premier League wrongs.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, he's only 20. I was just checking there. I was listening to you, Scott. I was just checking. I'd lost his page at what age he was. So he's 28. He's not 29 until December. So he's just turned 28. So for me, if he's a centre half and he's missed that football, and if he's as fit as we all think he is, which he seems to be over all his problems, he's probably got another 6-7 years possibly. The way he plays, I mean, he's not as if he's Rolls Royce for me. Sometimes he doesn't really bust a gut because his positional sense is so good. So I mean, I hope we get him for another couple of years, because he's a really a linchpin for us now. Wolf, Connors, Goldson obviously our centre half, Davis is our centre midfielder, Morelos is our striker, and McGregor's our goalie. How important has that spine been this season for our success?
Oh, it's very. I mean, they always say the spine of a team's vital, but I mean the whole team's been important to our success this year. The whole squad, they're playing as a team. They know, you know, to me the telling thing to me is players are getting rotated out, if you like, or getting left out, and they're just getting on with it. They're not complaining. If they're on the bench, they're coming on and they're doing their job. I mean, Yanis Hadji's probably the unluckiest player just now, because he played well on Thursday, didn't get a game last night because of the way we played. Didn't get on at all, and he'll just get up and go. If he has to play on Saturday, he'll come in and play, because they do it for the team, they do it for each other. I mean, yeah, the spine's important, and to me, I mean, well, there's three of them we need to get contracts for in the summer. I mean, Morelos is on a long contract anyway, so if he stays, that's not an issue. McGregor and Davis, they're out of contract. I'd get them signed up, but I believe that there's deals there if they want them, because neither of the two of them are particularly spring chickens. And the Goldson thing, he's only got a year left, I think. So I'd be getting him signed up on a 3 or 4 year contract. Give him the shot at the Champions League that, as Scott says, he's probably desperate for. And then if he wants to leave the following summer, leaves with a blessing, 2 championship medals, a Europa League medal, Champions League winners medal. Fantastic, let him go.
That's it. I mean, that's a nirvana for any player, isn't it? But do you think that we need to protect our assets, Scott, and Goldson is certainly one of them. I mean, we bought him for $3.5 million. You're talking minimum 10 for me if we get him on that further deal. So, I mean, Will's touched on it. It's got to be the key thing as soon as we get this league wrapped up to tie these people up.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of I think most of our core sort of late 20s, like your Tabs, your Goldsons, Mr. Davis a bit older, and then at Ryan Jack, I think most of them are your late 20s, so I think they've only got sort of 2 or 3 more years left at their peak. So we get their peaks out of them, and then maybe let them on in 2 or 3 years. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, that should be the plan, is to get these people long term. So we can probably afford to lose 1, maybe 2 this summer, and I think it will naturally happen. Don't ask me to name who, but I just think the business model dictates now that we know we'll probably need to sell someone. But Connor Goldson, for me, Graham's just not one of them. I think he'd be too hard to replace. Do you agree with that?
It'll be definitely hard to replace, mate. What I'm beginning to think as well is, see, like maybe 6 months to a year ago, I was thinking that a wee bit of success in the team, they'd maybe want to go down south and then for the a bigger league and stuff like that. But what I'm seeing now is the players are loving it, and I think that might make them want to stay, but just because they feel settled, happy, they love the fans, everything about Rangers. So hopefully that they've got the bug, and they might even see them for longer as well.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Sorry, Derek. It's not just that. I mean, it's the chance, as we've been saying, that they know now they've got a chance of getting Champions League football. You know, I mean, they could move any one of our top players could move to a club in the Premiership for a lot of money, right? But how many of them are going to go to a top 4 team and get Champions League football?
Exactly.
You know, and if they get a decent season in the Champions League, that maybe gets them the move to the top four club where they get more Champions League football.
Yeah.
I think the only one at the moment could maybe get in a top 4 is the way he plays is Glenn Kamara for me. Just because the way he plays, he's totally tailor-made for that top-end Premiership, boring, slow style, shall we say. But for me, too, we mentioned his attributes earlier on, Connor Goldson, but for me, it's communication, because obviously there's been no fans in, so you get to hear, if you listen to most of the kind of replays that Rangers do without the kind of fan noise coming through Sky, and you always hear Connor Goldson. He's so vocal, it's unbelievable. And what I love about him, he's always the first to celebrate a goal. It doesn't matter if he's at the halfway line and Morelos has broke away himself. Even the goal at Aberdeen, Connor Goldson was still the first guy to congratulate him. And it's a testament to Gerrard for getting that instilled in Connor, because he's not a Rangers man, you know what I mean? He's from south of England. He would not have heard about us, of course, but he now, for me, is playing like a Rangers fan would in that team, and Gerrard's made the whole team like that. And I'm sure McGregor and Davis and Jack and all the Rangers fans about the place have instilled that in him. But for me, the players that are remembered the most are the ones that end up like a fan. And for me, I can see Connor Goldson, you know, being like Terry Butcher for a while, when we kind of changed a bit towards him, but like Mark Hateley and stuff, always coming back to the club and being a part of it. And he deserves this league title more than anyone.